Anika, a 26-year-old woman, lives in a seemingly happy marriage with her husband Rowan, 28. However, everything begins to change when Anika meets Dr. Enzo, 29, during a visit to a private clinic. Their relationship gradually becomes complicated and troubled, leading to a series of tragic events. Join us to discover the unfortunate developments that happened from betrayal to wrong decisions, and finally, the catastrophic consequences that changed all of their lives forever. Anika. The central character of this tragic story was born and raised in the town of Senses, Czech Republic, as the youngest daughter in a middle-class family. Anika has been known since childhood for her gentle, kind personality and for always caring for those around her. She grew up in the love and attentive care of her parents. After completing high school, Anika studied business administration at a local university, where she graduated with honors and began her career at an insurance company. With her beautiful appearance and bright smile, Anika always attracts the attention of many people, but she is quite reserved in romantic relationships. She focuses on her career and spends a lot of time taking care of her parents as they grow older. However, deep down, Anika always longs to find a man to share her life with and build a family that wish came true when she met Rowan, a software engineer working in Prague. Rowan, a man born and raised in the town of Senses, Czech Republic, had a challenging and determined childhood. Rowan comes from a working-class family where hard work and responsibility were highly valued. From a young age, Rowan showed intelligence and a passion for technology, especially software. He pursued this passion by enrolling at a renowned technical university in Prague, where he not only studied hard, but also participated in various technology projects, leaving a significant mark. After graduating, Rowan was quickly recruited into a large technology company in Prague, where he gradually established himself as a software engineer. With his career on the rise and his future bright, Rowan seemed to have it all. But he still felt that one important thing was missing: a partner to share his life with. Rowan has always been an upright, caring man, admired by many. However, due to his quiet and reserved personality, he had not had many deep relationships before meeting Anika. For Rowan, love is a sacred thing, and he always hoped to find a woman to build a happy family with. When he met Anika, he realized that she was the one he had been looking for all along, and their marriage became the greatest pride in Rowan's life. Rowan and Anika first met on an autumn evening in 2007, when they were both walking in the park near their home. It was a peaceful evening with a chill in the air and fallen yellow leaves all around. Rowan, having just finished work and wanting to relax after a long day, accidentally met Anika, who was also enjoying a gentle evening after a busy day at work. The meeting was initially just a coincidence, but immediately the two felt a special connection. After that chance meeting, Rowan couldn't stop thinking about Anika's gentle smile and warm eyes. He boldly asked to meet her again, and from then on, they started going on regular dates. Long conversations in the park evenings, drinking coffee together, helped them get to know each other better. Rowan was attracted by Anika's sincere and gentle personality, while Anika was impressed by Rowan's intelligence, maturity, and caring. Their love developed naturally and strongly. After a year of getting to know each other, Rowan decided to propose to Anika on a romantic evening on the banks of the Vltava River, when the city lights were sparkling on the water. Anika, with tears of happiness in her eyes, agreed without hesitation. They got married in the summer of 2011, in a small but cozy ceremony, attended by family and close friends. Their married life was full of joy and happiness. Rowan and Anika built a small, peaceful family in the town of Sosis, where they shared their dreams and plans for a bright future after a romantic and happy wedding. Rowan and Annika started their married life in a cozy little house in the town of Sosis. The first days after the wedding, their life was filled with joy and laughter. They both felt lucky to have found each other and built a peaceful home together. They shared everything in life, from simple meals to plans for the future. However, after a while, a problem began to appear that made Annika and Rowan worried, even though they had been married for several years. Annika still showed no signs of pregnancy, which they both were looking forward to. Rowan and Annika both longed to have children to complete their family. But this was not easy. Every time the pregnancy test failed, Annika felt more pressured and sad, while Rowan could not hide his disappointment, even though he always tried to comfort and encourage his wife. At the same time, Rowan's work became increasingly demanding as a software engineer at a large technology company in Prague. Rowan often had to work overtime and even travel far from home. The pressure of work meant that he had less time to spend with Annika than before. Meanwhile, Annika also focused on her job at the insurance company, trying not to let herself get too stressed about the children, but this also made her more distant from Rowan. As time passed, the distance between the two grew. The evenings spent together. Talking became less frequent, replaced by long periods of silence. Rowan became tired after long working days, and Annika was immersed in anxious thoughts about not being able to conceive. Although they still loved each other, cracks began to appear in their marriage that neither of them realized or knew how to fix. At this time, Annika decided to seek medical help to find out about her fertility problems. This decision led her to Dr. Enzo's clinic, where the tragic events that would follow would begin. Dr. Enzo, 28, was a well-known gynecologist in the town of Sosis, born into a medical family and graduating with honors from the Medical University of Prague. Enzo quickly built up a reputation with his private practice. Enzo's modern clinic and dedicated service attracted many women in the area to visit and consult with his solid skills and dedicated working style. Enzo was considered one of the most trusted gynecologists in the area that day. When Annika came to Dr. Enzo's clinic, he was immediately attracted by her gentle beauty during the examination in a private room when there were only two people. Dr. Enzo looked at Annika with an unusual look. After performing some initial examinations, Enzo asked Annika to take off her clothes so that he could examine her more closely. Annika, feeling uncomfortable, but thinking that this was a professional requirement, complied and lay on the bed as the doctor requested. Dr. Enzo then took a towel and covered Annika's chest, explaining that this would help her feel more comfortable and reduce her embarrassment of not being able to see what he was examining. However, this was only a cover for Enzo's dark intentions, as he gradually abused Annika's trust in the privacy of the clinic during the examination, when Annika could not see what was happening because she was blocked by a towel. Dr. Enzo took advantage of the situation. When Annika was not paying attention, Enzo began to stimulate her without her realizing it, to Annika's confusion and surprise. Dr. Enzo went further, committing depraved acts on her, while she was held in a position where she could not move or resist. The incident happened unexpectedly, and Annika was completely shocked by what had happened. After committing the depraved act, Dr. Enzo tried to cover up his crime by explaining that what had just happened was part of a professional procedure to examine her reproductive organs. He whispered to Annika that everything was perfectly normal and hinted that her childlessness might be due to her husband's infertility. Enzo went further, saying that what he had just done was to help Annika with the intention of assisting her in getting pregnant. Enzo's words, combined with the shock of the situation Annika had just experienced, left her bewildered and unsure of how to react. Although she felt extremely angry and abused, Annika decided to keep quiet. She was afraid that if she spoke out, things would get complicated and out of control. In a confused and miserable state of mind, Annika could only quietly leave, pretending that nothing had happened. She tried to convince herself that this was probably just a mistake, and she did not want to make things worse, especially with the marriage she was still trying to maintain. After a few months, Annika began to notice signs of changes in her body. Feeling tired, nauseous in the morning, and other symptoms made her suspect that she was pregnant when she took a pregnancy test. The results showed what she could not believe: Annika was pregnant. The news made her both happy and worried, because it not only brought her hope of becoming a mother, but also reminded her of her haunting encounter with Dr. Enzo at the clinic. The mixed emotions left Annika in a state of confusion and not knowing how to face this truth. Annika can't stop thinking about what happened in Dr. Enzo's office when she finds out she's pregnant. She feels a growing sense of anxiety. Conflicting thoughts swirl around in her head, but the more she thinks about it, the more she realizes a terrifying truth. The child she's carrying could very well be Dr. Enzo's memories of the rape come flooding back, leaving her feeling panicked and unsure of what to do. Facing this truth not only causes Annika distress, but also puts her in a difficult position, as she has to hide everything from her husband Rowan after discovering that she was pregnant and beginning to suspect that the child might be Dr. Enzo. Annika decided not to tell her husband Rowan the good news. She felt that sharing the news directly with Enzo was necessary to face the truth and gain a better understanding of her situation. Annika decided to meet Dr. Enzo, not at the clinic, but at a small cafe, where she hoped to be able to face this complicated situation more comfortably that afternoon. Annika sat waiting, tense and anxious. Her thoughts were spinning in her head, but she knew that she needed to face this reality. When Enzo entered the cafe, he was surprised to see Annika. However, he maintained a calm demeanor as he sat down in front of her. Annika was filled with anxiety, but she had no choice but to tell the truth. She informed Enzo that she was pregnant and that the child was most likely his hearing. These words, Enzo initially seemed nervous. His eyes flashed with worry, but in an instant Enzo's expression changed, a look of relief. Even a little joy appeared on his face. He felt that this situation, although complicated, also presented some kind of opportunity. Enzo suggested that they both do a DNA test to determine exactly whether the child was his or not. Although Annika felt anxious and hesitant, she also understood that clarifying the truth was necessary in this situation. The DNA test could not be done publicly, because both Annika and Enzo knew that if this matter was exposed, would cause unforeseen consequences. Therefore, they secretly arranged meetings at various medical facilities to do the test without anyone suspecting those meetings. At first, just brief exchanges about the testing process. Gradually, both began to have complicated feelings for each other. Enzo, although initially just wanting to confirm his responsibility, began to feel a special attraction to Annika. The frequent interactions combined with a tense and secretive situation made their relationship closer. Annika, despite her worries and conflicts, could not deny that Enzo had become an important part of her life at that time, when the DNA test results officially confirmed that the child in Annika's womb was Enzo's. Their relationship changed completely no longer. The tense meetings of responsibility Enzo and Annika began to develop a secret relationship full of passion, but also full of danger. Secret dates, secret evenings together, all taking place in secrecy and fear. Annika is caught up in a whirlwind of emotions, not only by the presence of her unborn child, but also by the complexity of her relationship with Enzo. She knows that this cannot last, but every time she meets Enzo, she finds it difficult to give up both. Know that they are walking on a dangerous path, but still cannot stop themselves from continuing. Both cannot resist the attraction to each other and begin to seek out secret places to continue this secret relationship. They often met at small hotels in the suburbs where no one recognized them, to enjoy their time together without fear of being discovered. Even Enzo's clinic, which was originally just his workplace, now became a place for them to meet secretly. Enzo, a man who had never been married, who had never known the constraints of marriage, was completely attracted to Annika. For him, Annika was not only the woman who bore his child, but also the one who awakened desires that he had never felt. Annika's charm, along with his special situation, made Enzo sink deeper and deeper into the relationship with her. For Annika, although she initially felt guilty and worried, gradually those feelings were replaced by a strong desire, the desire for her child to live with its real biological father. Rowan, her official husband, although loving her, could not give her the joy of motherhood, and that made Annika feel that she had a good reason to maintain her relationship with Enzo. She began to imagine a different future where she and Enzo would live together as a real family, raising the child they were about to welcome. The two began to dream of their future life, a life where they could openly express their feelings, live together, and raise the child together. Enzo also began to think seriously about this prospect, although he knew that to achieve it, both of them would have to face many challenges. Rowan began to have doubts when he noticed unusual changes in his wife Annika's behavior. She often left home without a clear reason, and her attitude towards Rowan became increasingly cold, sensing that something was wrong. Rowan decided to investigate himself to clarify everything. After a period of surveillance, Rowan quickly discovered undeniable evidence of the illicit relationship between Annika and Dr. Enzo. The secret meetings at the hotel, the dates at the clinic, and even the messages exchanged between the two were all recorded in detail by Rowan. This harsh truth made him fall into a state of extreme anger and pain. It was even more painful when Rowan discovered that Annika was pregnant, and the child in her womb could be Dr. Enzo's child, with all the evidence in hand. Rowan no longer doubted his wife's betrayal from anger and feelings of betrayal. Rowan began to calculate and plan to avenge this painful betrayal. On February 15, 2015, a horrific incident occurred in the town of Sauces, Czech Republic, when Rowan, in a fit of rage, decided to carry out his revenge plan, carrying a gun. Rowan went straight to Dr. Enzo's clinic, where he was working as usual, with a cold and determined mood. Rowan entered the clinic where Enzo was busy with his work. Without warning, Rowan pulled out a gun and shot Enzo dead on the spot. The shots rang out in the quiet space of the clinic, ending Enzo's life. Instantly, the crime happened quickly and violently, leaving everyone present at the clinic in horror. After the murder, Rowan did not try to run away. He calmly waited for the police to arrive at the scene, ready to face the consequences of his actions. When the police arrived, Rowan did not resist, but quietly put his hands up in handcuffs, with a face that showed no emotion. The case was quickly investigated, and Rowan confessed to all his actions. He said that his only motive was revenge for the betrayal and pain caused by his wife Annika. In his testimony, Rowan said he could not bear the fact that his wife had an affair and was pregnant with another man's child, killing Enzo, according to Rowan, was the only way he could free himself from the pain and humiliation he had endured. Rowan's actions not only ended Enzo's life, but also cost Annika everything. She not only lost her lover, but also her future when her husband was arrested for murder. What Rowan did was not just an act of personal revenge, but also a blow to Annika's life, forcing her to face the consequences of her choices and actions. After the horrific incident on February 17, 2015, Annika fell into a state of extreme grief and depression. She not only lost her lover, Dr. Enzo, but also had to face the reality that her husband, Rowan, had become a murderer. Annika's life, already in turmoil due to her affair, has now become a nightmare, with no way out. When she was brought to the police station for questioning, she recounted the whole incident in detail in a confused state. In her statement, Annika admitted that she was initially taken advantage of by Enzo, but that it later developed into an illicit relationship, explaining how it all started out of weakness and the desire to have a child, leading to her adultery. Annika recounted secret meetings in hotels and clinics, as well as how she and Enzo had done DNA tests together to determine the father of the child she shared. That throughout the process, she had no idea that things would go so far that Rowan would find out and react by killing her at the police station. Annika did not try to justify herself, but accepted full responsibility for what had led to this tragedy. She knew that her weakness and wrong choices had put all three of them in a dead end while recounting the incident. Annika's tears kept falling, expressing her deep pain and unresolved guilt. Annika's testimony helped the investigating agency better understand the motives and circumstances that led to the case. It also shed light on the inner conflicts and mental breakdown of a woman caught between two conflicting relationships. Rowan's trial took place in late 2015 and attracted a great deal of public attention due to the seriousness of the case. Rowan was charged with premeditated murder, which carries a possible life sentence throughout the trial. Rowan did not deny his actions. He admitted that he killed Dr. Enzo in a fit of rage after discovering that his wife Annika was having an affair and was pregnant with Enzo's child. In court, Rowan's defense attorney tried to argue that his actions stemmed from a state of extreme emotional agitation due to his wife's betrayal, and that this should be considered a mitigating factor. However, the prosecutor emphasized the seriousness of the crime, asserting that the murder could not be justified by any personal feelings. Annika also appeared in court. She recounted the whole story from her relationship with Dr. Enzo. Thanks for watching True Crime Cases.